Before I get into today's video, I would like to mention that this is about a sensitive topic. I debated about whether I want to cover it or not because I don't want to seem insensitive to the victims of the California wildfires. My heart goes out to those affected by the fires and I hope you all find safety. That being said, I don't want this video to be taken as trivializing the tragedy or taking advantage of it. I've just seen some interesting theories on the internet and I wanted to address them. So, viewer discretion is advised. When tragedies happen, it's not uncommon for people to look for a reason why. Tragedies that seem unexplained. What could cause such a thing? Why would a person do that? It's natural to seek reasons to put yourself at ease knowing the why and the who. Sometimes the answers aren't satisfying or even scary and people want a different explanation. Probably the best example of this is the tragedy of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. People didn't want to accept that terrorists did it, that someone would have so much hate that they would kill 2 buildings full of innocent people. So people sought something they perhaps found more comforting or more interesting, that the government orchestrated it. The government is often a target for conspiracy theories, and one can see why when they conduct a lot of their dealings in shady and secretive ways. Though it's justifiable that they keep things from us because the truth would cause panic or whatever the other reasons may be. It puts them in a position of having very little honesty though, and it's hard to trust a government that's not forthright with their ways of operation. So, when the currently ongoing California wildfires took place, some people flocked to alternative theories. California is more susceptible to fires than some locations. They have been undergoing a drought recently, adding to the possibility that fire can catch. Officials believe it originally started due to faulty, high-voltage lines provided by Pacific Electric and Gas. Some may blame climate change for the fires, and others would blame the government. The theories began when verified Twitter user Mike Tokes posted a thread on Twitter. The thread displayed proof that the California wildfires were perhaps not so natural, but rather orchestrated by someone on purpose. Someone with a big laser. He says, "I'm seeing more and more videos of very strange irregularities regarding the California fires. Can anyone explain this?" Yes. Yes, I can, but we'll get to that later. His first irregularity is a video from a news station helicopter view. The helicopter is overlooking a neighborhood that has been relatively undamaged by the fires, save for a few houses splotched around the blocks. The weird thing is, these houses are completely burnt to the ground, while its neighbors are absolutely unharmed. Next, Mr. Tokes provides a few pictures of burnt cars. Their bodies are charred, glass is busted, and their tires are completely melted away. Some are even missing their hoods. According to him, forest fires cannot melt steel beams. He also points out how the area around the car is fine. Following that is when we get to the real crazy stuff. Mike Tokes provides images of what he claims to have been taken of the fires and uploaded to Facebook. The strange thing about these is that they all have very strange beams of light jutting from the sky and shooting down to the ground. He says that these look like some kind of laser weapon, or a high-frequency direct energy weapon. He adds another photo that claims the military DUWs connected to jets, suggesting that they could be responsible for shooting these lasers at people's cars and homes. The next photo is an image of the wildfire pattern compared to the potential mapping area of the California high-speed rail system, which is currently in construction. The two photos seem to have an almost identical pattern, showing that the fires almost follow to the T where the railway is going to be. Finally, Mike Tokes closes with a video of a bridge that had supposedly collapsed due to the fires. He says that he spoke to a firefighter and that he was told it was impossible for a forest fire to do that. Mike wasn't the only one who came to this conclusion. Videos like this one by Logic Before Authority seem to point to the fact that the pattern of the fires were literally impossible, having traveled down onto a beach, burning out the cars and even a helicopter. After the initial exposure, people took it and began to bounce conspiracy theories off of its structure. Mostly theorists were in agreement that it was in some way the government using aircraft-mounted DEWs to destroy specific homes and vehicles. Some people in the comments of Mike's thread even claimed that the targeted homes were specifically Republican in an attempt to sway votes more in the direction of the Democratic Party. Another theory, which was directly hinted at by Mike Tokes himself, is that these fires were started to make way for the planned California high-speed rail system, which by extension means that the state of California started the fires intentionally to help in development of the railway. So that's the theorist side of things. Some of Mike Tokes' tweets end with, "Can you explain this?" And as I said before, I can. Let's start where he does, with the sporadic house fires amongst perfectly untouched homes. The reason this happens is because of embers escaping from the fire. They crash into a few of the houses and a new, smaller fire bursts from them. They consume the house, but can be controlled before it spreads to neighboring homes. It's completely normal during out-of-control forest fires, and nothing at all unexplainable. The melted cars are said to be weird because Mike says a forest fire can't melt steel, but what is actually melted on the car is not comprised of steel. Primarily, it's the tires that are melted. Tires are made of rubber, and their rims are generally aluminum. And while yes, steel is more than likely not going to melt at the temperature of a wildfire, having a melting point of 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, aluminum melts at only 1,221 degrees Fahrenheit. Forest fires can generally reach up to 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, making it well within the realm of having the heat capacity of melting tires and rims. Furthermore, the cars with missing hoods more than likely had aluminum hoods as well, not to mention the plastic that's on the cars. A forest fire is perfectly capable of melting parts of cars, but not the whole car. The beam photos are a little harder to explain, and there's no evidence of Photoshop amongst them. Clearly something strange is going on here. Well, you may think that, until you realize almost none of these were taken during the California wildfires. The first photo here was taken during a SpaceX launch, and that streak is from the path of the rocket. The next photo is from a refinery in Ohio. A compressor problem caused a flare-off, which appeared to be a fire. The beam is actually a light pillar, or the light reflecting off ice crystals in the air, since the photo was taken in January. The third picture is actually the only one of a California fire, which originated in a tweet from the Klamath National Forest Service. But what is the beam if it's actually a California fire picture? Well, YouTuber Mick West has an answer for you.
When people try to clean their camera lenses on a small phone like this, they often will just use a finger and they will swipe across. Now, you can see after I just swiped across there, the beam changed. It's now this different beam here.
It's simply a smudge on a lens. So what about the claim that DEWs are creating the wildfires? Well, maybe, but probably not. The US Navy does have a DEW, but you definitely can't see the light from it when it's being shot because it literally travels at the speed of light, making it invisible to the eye. The claim that the high-speed railway is structure for the pattern of wildfires is a weird one. I looked up other maps for reference and they all seem to loosely follow that of the railway. However, I believe this one is simply a coincidence. I have no explanation for it further. Last but not least, we have the collapse of the bridge. Mike claims that he was told that a fire cannot collapse a bridge by a fireman. However, there are examples that prove that statement false. A fire under an I-85 bridge in Atlanta, Georgia actually caused it to collapse. Obviously, the fire isn't hot enough to melt the steel or concrete. However, concrete can suffer large cracks after just 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit of concentrated heat. The fire could definitely unstabilize the structure after time and could definitely cause it to collapse. In addition, I'd like to analyze the video published by Logic Before Authority, just for fun. I'm mainly going to be focusing on the first half of the video where the man is traveling near the beach amongst the burnt cars. This is the part that really had people in the comment section freaking out because how in the world could a wildfire take out a helicopter? Well, let me show you just one thing. That's right. This man is actually on the set of American Horror Story Apocalypse. You can literally compare this image of the supposed fire video and this still from the AHS trailer with Billy Eichner walking down the street of the wasteland side by side. As you can see on the left, there is the helicopter. The propeller is tilted in the exact same angle. There's a car near it and another car parallel to it across the street. Further down, you can see the car from the video with the rebar blown through it. You can also see the bus here with the car crashed into it in this leaked photo from the AHS set. This is undeniably false and absolutely ridiculous. So, are there weird inconsistencies in some of the wildlife evidence? No, not really. Is the government responsible? Most likely no. Though a few actual victims of this do believe that something shady is going on, and knowing the history of the government doing bad things, it is very possible. I just don't want crazy conspiracy theorists spreading lies on the internet about a tragedy without a basis for skepticism. If you are affected by the fires, please be safe. If you aren't, consider donating to relief efforts. And everyone, be careful about what you read on the internet. Be skeptical, do your own research. Be careful about what you spread around blindly.